Hi guys, welcome to Westmonster Uncensored. I'm Michael Heaver.
I'm Patrick Christian.
And so much to talk about on today's show. Everything from the Lords to things going on abroad, right across Europe. We're also going to be starting on this big development. Big development. We want your input on this. Sajid Javid is the new Home Secretary after Amber Rudd resigned. I've already seen a lot of your comments, guys. Keep them coming. Let us know what you think about this. Are you glad to see Rudd having gone? Do you think Sajid Javid's up to the task? Dive in, tell us what you think. But Patrick, what's the latest?
There's been a shake-up at the Home Office, hasn't it? Amber Rudd has finally fallen on her sword after quite a calamitous tenure in charge at the Home Office that has ranged from things like the surge in violent crime to obviously more recently the terrible Windrush scandal. So I think it was only a matter of time really before she was shown the door or decided to walk out of it herself. Sajid Javid has replaced her. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think of that. He is a Remainer, but he is also ruled out, for now at least, staying in the customs union. So maybe it's almost a bit of the best of both worlds. Just touching quickly on a couple of your comments. As you can see the article we've done there on your screen. A couple of the comments coming in already about this, just saying, Norma May says that she's happy that Amber has gone, saying, but not happy with the replacement. It should have gone to a true Brexiteer, she's saying. And Andrew Keeling believes it's very dangerous because if May goes or the government collapses, then it may open the doorway to Labour and things could become intolerable. There is another just quick comment here from a bloke called Stuart Husband who's just asked who the hunk was on Breakfast TV this morning, Michael. I don't know who that could have been, but
I must be talking about Piers Morgan, I think. Right, no, but look, guys, we're gonna go through. We're gonna go Trump. Stay with us for the show. Really interesting stack show. But yeah, Sajid Javid. Just to give you a bit of background, and by the way, go and check Westmonster.com. Basically, he's recently reiterated that Britain must come out of the customs union. So compared to Ramona Rudd on that, it's certainly a stronger suit. I think the real worry will be how strong is Sajid Javid going to be, and we're not hearing much about it when it comes to migration, which is our next story. I mean, we saw reports over the weekend, guys. We're hearing, possibly the government's policy on migration post-Brexit could be very similar to open borders. I mean, my. This is not, is it? This is not what people voted for. This is not what they envisaged, did it, when they voted leave, that there'd be a policy very similar to the mad, bad EU open borders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've heard reports over the week, and I certainly did a report for Westmonster on Saturday about David Davis potentially being on the brink of resigning. This undoubtedly must be one of the key factors at play there for him, because if you have got you as a Brexiteer in charge of us leaving the European Union, but then it seems like you're being hamstrung because Britain wants to basically keep the same immigration policy with regards to free movement. You would imagine that's not played particularly well with David Davis. You imagine it's not going to play particularly well with a lot of Brexiteers. Of course, people wanted to get migration down, net migration down. They wanted to clamp down on illegal immigration, and that's the kind of two-pronged flaw here with this potential policy, because if you've got the open border situation or you've got the porous border situation, not only you're not reducing legal migration, it becomes very difficult to reduce illegal migration as well. And so I would expect that to get people a bit wound up.
The comments are rolling in, guys. If you like what you see, give us a retweet, give us a like, help spread the word about Westmonster. Go and visit westmonster.com. I'm going to go through a few of your comments now. I think it was, Trevor Knight saying, I thought Sajid has changed his mind on Brexit. Although he backed Remain, he certainly made some other noises on things like the customs union since then. Chris with a different view saying, no, it's a waste of a good minister let down by her shambolic department. It should have been a senior civil servant who went. And Alison saying, open borders are borders, what's in a name? We are being betrayed every day. So look, I certainly think there's some scepticism over what Sajid Javid's going to deliver. But look, he reiterated recently about the customs union. But I think going back to that main point, guys, and it's been buried and it's not being talked about, and as ever at Westminster, we want to highlight the things we think are most important. What is the post-Brexit migration policy going to be? Because the government stated policy for years and years and years now has been tens of thousands net migration. How and when is it going to be delivered? Or are they going to drop it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another interesting point is as well with regards to the Amber Rudd resignation, I suppose, as far as we know it wasn't a resignation, is that she was a bit of a human shield for Theresa May, wasn't she, for a little while there with this now, because Theresa May had obviously had years and years and years in charge at the Home Office, and so some of these historic errors, like the Windrush thing, has been going on for a long while. You could argue Theresa May would have some kind of direct culpability in. Amber Rudd was in the way of that. Now she's gone. She's now free to retreat to the backbenches. She is a Remainer, as we all know. Goodness knows what maybe havoc she could wreak there. You know, let's say something really bad happens and Theresa May does go, then you've opened up a window, haven't you, potentially, to Labour doing very well at the elections, and potentially the knock-on effect of that could be, you know, not the type of Brexit we'd be after. So it's a bit dicey times at the minute. We'll have to see how it goes, I think.
Guys, thanks so much for your comments. We've got Amber Rudd covering up for May. We've got on Twitter, Legend says HHYA, who clearly has impeccable taste. Give us a retweet, give us a like if you enjoy what we're doing here. And remember, Uncensored is 1 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Now, it isn't just actually the Conservatives who have got a problem at the moment with Home Secretary, because she's done it again. It's a Diane Abbott special. And we wrote this up this morning, but really, I mean, there wasn't much you could actually write about this, Patrick.
No.
I mean, it's beyond words, actually.
It's a bit worrying. I mean, I think we're going to play the video in a bit, but yeah, I mean, I'll have a word. I'll let you make your mind. So I would rather you watch this video and then maybe we'll have a chat about it then.
It's cringe. It's cringe. Let's roll it.
I am. I genuinely want to know, Dan. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm just trying to ask you a simple question. What do we do about illegal immigrants in this country? Do we let them stay? Boris Johnson suggested an amnesty. You say no amnesty. So the logical fallout from no amnesty is we get them all out of the country, isn't it? Unless I'm missing something.
The logical fallout from the state, the Immigration and Nationality Department is to try and work towards an Immigration and Nationality Department which is much more fair and much more efficient. And this is something that I'm working on the nuts and bolts of.
Right. You keep saying that, but Diane, honestly, I'm not trying to trip you up. I'm just trying to work out what Labour's view of illegal immigrants is, whether they should stay in the country or whether they should leave. I don't know why you're finding it hard to answer that question.
You've already said there should be targets.
And I don't... Yes, of course there have to be targets, but for specific areas of Home Affairs work, like, for instance, deporting foreign national prisoners.
Right. Okay. All right, Diane Abbott, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Right, guys, so that was something, wasn't it? Diane Abbott, they're doing a Diane Abbott, as we say. Just some of your comments quickly, because I do want to come on to a slightly more, potentially more serious point about this. But just people saying the gift that keeps on giving, step forward, Diane Abbott. Diane Abbott's messed up again. I'm cringing, etc., etc. You get the feel of what we're saying here.
I mean, it's not rave reviews, is it really, guys? Let's be honest.
Couple of points here. You know, you would expect the Shadow Home Secretary to have an answer to those things that Piers Morgan was asking there. They're pretty straightforward, aren't they? Roughly speaking, what is your loose policy with regards to illegal immigration? She says she's still working on the nuts and bolts of it. That's code for I haven't got a clue. Her answer there tells you that. The actual thing, and I do want to make a bit of a serious point about this, and you know, I don't want this to come across insensitive at all. I have watched clips of Diane Abbott 5 and 10 years ago, and she doesn't look like the same person that I'm looking at today, and it's becoming increasingly regular now, not just when she's doing these TV interviews, when she's in Parliament and you see her just sat there on the front bench and things. There's this lack of, like, their eyes are going a bit, there's a lack of clarity as to what she's saying. It's like she has to think over every single word. And I'm actually just a bit concerned for her. Like, to me, that doesn't seem to me someone who's necessarily that well. I mean, and obviously that is a concern going forward for the nation, because if Labour win, then she is the Home Secretary. And I'm not saying this purely on health grounds. I mean, I think there's other reasons why you could say she was relatively incompetent as well. But if that is, it looks to me as though there is something a bit more to this.
I mean, I think they're running neck and neck for what's more concerning. Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister or Diane Abbott as Home Secretary. I mean, take your choice, really. I mean, quite frankly, it is terrifying. And you talk about the Conservatives having problems with Home Secretary position. I mean, I would suggest that interview really does sort of speak for itself.
Absolutely, and I think that should be a big concern for people. You know, all right, if you're not happy with the way the Tories are going at the minute, fair enough. You're not happy with whatever party, but the reality of the situation is that if you vote Labour at the next general election and Diane Abbott's still in post, and they win, then you will end up with Diane Abbott as Home Secretary. And I think that should be a concern to most people.
Now, moving swiftly on to another group of people I don't particularly like, it's the Europhile Lords. The Europhile Lords, at it again, reports over the weekend, and guys, we've already seen they voted to stay in the EU Customs Union. They voted for the EU's Charter of Fundamental Rights, and now the big push for a so-called no Brexit amendment. They know how the public voted. You voted to leave the European Union, you voted to leave the single market, you voted to leave the customs union. They don't give a damn. There are a group of unelected, unaccountable lords who are doing everything they can to dilute, to water down, to kill off Brexit. And I don't think they have any place doing that. I think the House of Lords should be abolished. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. But I think this is a perfect case study as to why that discredited, outdated chamber needs abolishing completely. I think it's time to abolish it. It's just completely and utterly out of control on Brexit. You know, you've got lords in there, put in there by former premiers and EU pensions and all the rest of it, and they've completely and utterly overstepped the mark on this one. It's bang out of order what they're doing on Brexit.
Well, our comments are rolling in, guys. Always lovely to have you on the show. Kay Gibson, give us a referendum on abolishing the House of Lords. Steve Baker, totally agree. They need to go. Debbie Bidwell, old age pensioners in daycare and they're being paid for it. Excellent there. Get shut of them, they're a joke. Leslie White, and there was what I saw from a regular on our show, Amanda Mandy. Hello, Amanda, saying, the House of Lords, it's time to get shut. They're only in it for the large EU pension. So our Westmonster viewers' views seem pretty straightforward there. You're obviously not in favour of the House of Lords.
And now someone else who agrees is Moggy, oi, 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 who was on LBC this morning, laying it out there. Very few people have respect for the House of Lords, he said. Very few people have much respect for the House of Lords. They don't think about it a lot of the time, but when it opposes the government, the democratically elected government, and tries to stop legislation as a house of appointed people, many of them getting pensions from the European Union, it does its own reputation a huge amount of damage. As I can say, I don't know if Mog approves of abolishing it, but I certainly do. There was actually a petition that we highlighted a number of times at Westminster for a referendum on abolishing the House of Lords, and it got over the 100,000, so it should be getting a debate in Parliament. As I say, I mean, it sums up really, doesn't it? We're leaving the anti-democratic European Union, and you have unelected, appointed lords at every step, and this isn't one or two votes now, at every step they're doing everything they can to try and hold up and kill off Brexit. It's bang out of order. They've overstepped the mark, and I think the public support, what was left of it for the House of Lords, is shrinking by the day.
Well, Anthony Webber raises just a cracking point here, Anthony. Cheers for getting in touch. Just saying, you imagine the uproar and rioting that will happen if they do, that being if they do completely block Brexit. And I think we're in this interesting position, aren't we, where Britain, as Michael said, is trying to leave something that's not perceived to be particularly democratic, being blocked by something that isn't democratic in any way, shape or form, all in the name of wider democracy. It's almost this kind of Orwellian doublespeak that's going on here with it. But if the House of Lords do block this, a public referendum, you know, where the people have spoken, well, what message does that send to people? Why bother going out and getting into politics? Why bother fighting for a cause? You know, why bother really putting all your eggs in one basket and going for something you believe in? Because no matter what the result of that is at the end of the day, there's this room of old farts that might be able to block it. You know, that's not a great message for politics, is it, really? Why bother is the message that I would take from that.
No, I totally agree, and I've tweeted about it myself, actually. You know, when you talk about the public being annoyed and completely disconnected from politics, what do you expect when you have MPs on the airwaves saying, well, we know, well, number one, no, the public didn't vote for that when they did, and then secondly, well, we know they voted for it, but we know best and we're going to overrule them. I mean, and then you expect people to be engaged by politics when you've had the public vote, and there's complete disregard.
It's just not good.
It's ridiculous. But look, guys, if you support what we're doing here, please go to westmonster.com/support. Really do appreciate your support. Yes. Give us a retweet, give us a like. This next story, I find, I mean, just when you thought the European Union couldn't get any more creepy, I mean, check out this quote. Yeah. It's the long-running saga, basically, the European Union trying to use money, effectively, to blackmail the, you know, Eurosceptic governments that don't bow down. So you talk about the Hungarian government, the Polish government, amongst others. And I'm just going to read you this quote. I think it was the Telegraph that got this quote from an EU source, right? So they're talking about Brussels restricting money, on freezing money on the basis of whether governments do as they are told or not. And this is the quote. And when I read this, I thought it was unbelievable. The precise details are still to be worked on, but the proposal will include the temporary freezing of funds in order to motivate a change of behaviour among states. I mean, is that not sort of very creepy? Extremely authoritarian. Basically, do as we tell you, or there will be consequences. This is the modern day European Union. I think another thing is as well, Patrick, is they saw the European Commission is proposing, bearing in mind Britain's about to leave the cash cow. The European Union, any logical organisation would think, okay, well, the UK's leaving, we'll have less money, let's maybe cut back a bit. The European Commission want to increase the budget. They're drunk on power. They've lost their absolute marbles.
In some cases, the power is just drunk, i.e. Juncker.
But I think, guys, just to recap a few things that have happened recently, the European Commission wants to increase the EU budget, despite the fact the UK cash cow's out the door. You've got Juncker and others talking about the likes of Macedonia and Albania joining. And now you've got this stuff. We're going to, temporary freezing of funds in order to motivate a change of behaviour among states. I mean, they've totally and utterly lost the plot. And what it screams to me is an organisation that knows it's in big trouble, because it's been found out at every election now, every European election, you're seeing Eurosceptic, anti-mass migration forces dominating. And instead of actually listening to that, they're going the other way. They're going even more extreme. They want more money. They want more countries inside. And now they're basically threatening to financially blackmail countries and governments. It's absolutely insane, balmy, and is why Brexit Britain will be followed out of that door, I'm sure, by many other countries.
I find it fascinating the way that the EU thinks these things play out in the public eye, don't they? Like, all right, so look, you don't agree with us, you don't have the same policies as us. Maybe that is because you are a completely different country with completely different history, full of completely different people to the ruling class in Brussels. Maybe that is why there is a divergence of opinion, which is healthy and good. But their response to it is, well, obviously you need to come round to our way of thinking, and so we're just going to fine you and penalise you and punish you until you do. It's a bit like denying a prisoner of his food so you motivate him to get on board with prison rules, isn't it? I find it a bit odd. I just find the whole thing a bit weird. Like, I've actually locked my kid away in his bedroom and I'm I've shut the door because I want to motivate him to eat his veg when the next dinner time comes. It's crackers.
And please do go and check all these stories out daily, guys, at westmonster.com, because, as I say, the European Union as an organisation, I think, is gone completely balmy, even more insane than it was before. As I say, it wants to spend more money, it wants more countries inside, and then it wants to use the money it does have to blackmail and bully elected governments into doing what unelected so-called presidents in Brussels tell them to do. I mean, is this really the future of Europe that people want? I don't believe it is. I believe it's going to come crashing down when Brexit Britain shows the way with trade, cooperation, but controlling borders and blazing our own trail in the world. I think that's going to be a very attractive proposal when you see these sort of bullying tactics.
Well, some of your comments rolling in. Ian Farrow saying the EU is dangerous. Leslie White saying we should just leave. And a chap called Derek Sameh is obviously very anti-EU, very pro-Brexit.
Now, the next story, I mean, some of you guys, I think a few of you have commented, I had a busy morning, very early morning, so apologies if I look absolutely cream crackered.
I think you look lovely.
Oh, thank you very much, Patrick. But yeah, there was the Good Morning Britain this morning. Basically, I was on there just talking about the Trump protests, guys, and how I just thought it was absolutely insane that you've got, you had Barack Obama come over here and disrespect our country. He came over here and he said, if you dare vote Leave, you'll be back of the queue, and all the rest of it. And now you've got a US president who says, you're front of the queue, we want to do a massive deal with you, I'm very pro-UK, and you get these muppets saying they're going to go out and protest against it. Well, protest against what? Having a guy that wants to do a deal and talk Turkey with us. I mean, have they lost the plot? It's just pathetic, childish virtue signalling from the same anti-Brexit mob, I suspect. You've got nothing better to do than, go and protest against a pro-UK president.
Yeah, no, I do find it absolutely ridiculous, this whole idea of these Trump protests. The biggest ever protest, people are calling it. I don't know if there's any factual basis for that, but either way, it looks like there's going to be tons of people out on the streets to basically give two fingers to Donald Trump. Now, I find it a bit odd because to me that's a shocking naivety with the realpolitik, with international relations. America's a very powerful country, it's a very historic ally, and America will continue to be a powerful country and a good ally after Donald Trump has been President of the United States. So why on earth would we want to alienate them, shun them, allow the French to come creepy crawling in?
Well, Macron's getting his old claws in, isn't he? You've seen him.
Are you telling me that even if you dislike Donald Trump as much as anyone, if you just go as far as to say if you hate the bloke, are you so selfish in your own personal feelings that you maybe can't see what is potentially for the wider benefit of Britain and for Britain's future? I find that a bit odd. I find that a bit idiotic, really, personally.
But we've got a little clip of it now, and let's just play that and see what you make of it.
I think the standard you should hold Donald Trump to is here is a man that talked about fire and fury, a little rocket man, and of course the Liberal Democrats and everyone else condemned him. And look at the results.
Yeah.
Look at the results, those amazing, historic scenes we saw of Kim Jong-un and the South Korean president. No one called this, and I'm sorry, but Donald Trump is a businessman. He delivers results. People have a go at the rhetoric, they have a go at his words. Look at his actions. Look at what's going on with the economy.
I mean, there you have it. I mean, don't forget the fire and fury and the little rocket man, and Trump was derided. And you look at what's happened with his big stick approach with North Korea. I mean, look at the return. Unbelievable scenes, unthinkable not that long ago with Kim Jong-un and the South Korean president there. But do they credit him? No. And even when you talk about Brexit Britain doing global trade deals, do they get excited about it? No, they just diss and slag them off. And what I also said on the show this morning is I think there's a creeping isolationism with people like the Liberal Democrats, because don't forget, they want to stay in the customs union, so they don't want Brexit Britain to do global trade deals, and now they're protesting against the US president comes to the country. I mean, it's all very little European, isn't it? It's very isolationist, like the European Union is the world and there's nothing outside it, and they reject anything else. I mean, it's very small-minded.
And a lot of people are making a point that I've made before as well, guys, and I think you're absolutely bob on. People, there's too many of you to mention by name now, but they're saying, look, why aren't they protesting about something really, really important? And I get that, we've had the Saudi royal family over here, haven't we, for example, before. Now, a lot of people are against them for some of the things that we do. The British government sells fighter jets to the Saudis and then rebuilds schools in Yemen after they've used them. That's pretty dodgy. There's some 30-odd countries in the Commonwealth that where homosexuality is illegal. But when the leaders came now, I didn't see massive, huge, wide-scale protests from the likes of Owen Jones, for example, who is a member of the LGBT community. I could be wrong, obviously, but I didn't see him on Parliamentary Square trying to incite a rally of 1 million people. But when Donald Trump comes, because he's a 6-foot-something alpha male type character, who's very bullish and brash by nature, and the type of person that maybe people you can tell that someone's a fan here, can't you? But no, a lot of people don't warm to that type of person, especially in modern society. Fine, and again, fine, but don't let that cloud your judgment of some of the actual facts of the reality situation that he's achieved, and the Korean Peninsula being one of them. Find it all a bit odd, but we, as ever, want to know what you guys think, so please do keep your comments rolling in.
Aubrey saying, your turn for the tie then, Michael. Yeah, we've only got one, so we sort of do swapsies.
Oh yeah, we alternate.
It's one of them, very progressive.
Yeah, you should see what we do with underwear as well.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Let's just get to the next story, I think, Patrick. I mean, this is deeply concerning, guys.
Oh gosh,
This is deeply concerning. This is a story you need to know about, because you've seen the anti-Semitism scandal, obviously, with the Labour Party. But what's going on in Europe is extraordinary, disgraceful, disgusting, deeply disturbing. Patrick, just explain.
Gosh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to read this out to you, basically. The future of Jews across Europe is hopeless, and they should stop wearing the kippah because of rampant anti-Semitism, warns the deputy mayor of Toulouse, who is himself of Jewish heritage. This guy called Aviv Zonabend, who was asked about, what's going on with the state of anti-Semitism across Europe. We've seen a lot of what seemingly a rise in anti-Semitic attacks. Certainly, Jews being advised not to go out wearing their skull cap, wearing the kippah, in case it incites violence from other people. He's just said he thinks that they should remove the kippah all across Europe. His son wears one, but he'd prefer it if he wore a hat on top. He said that anti-Semitism in Europe, in France, in Toulouse, where he's from, is no longer just by the far right. He says it's from political Islam as well. The future of the Jewish people in Europe is hopeless. And I mean, guys, this is absolutely tragic. Nobody of any religion, of any demographic of any religion whatsoever, should be afraid of expressing their religion in publicly for fear of being attacked or being assaulted. Anyway, that's not the modern world that we live in, is it? That's terrible. And I think, I'm sure Michael's got points on this as well. My point is that, Europe's lived through quite recently a lot of massive, huge, widespread incidents of anti-Semitism, which I'm sure we can all know and learn about. Are we forgetting that? Have we forgotten where we've come from? Have we forgotten what, as a continent, as a people, we've lived through? Are we sleepwalking back into a stage, the dark days, of these Jewish people being forced to cover their faith? I find this very, very worrying, personally.
This is the Angela Merkel legacy, I'm afraid. They've let in huge amounts of people. They haven't asked them. They've done no screening as to what their beliefs are, what their views are. And I imagine they've let in people that are, very, very anti-Semitic. And Angela Merkel has overseen that. And as I say, I find it deeply shocking. Why is this not getting more coverage, guys? That the German Jews now are being advised not to publicly display their faith, that the future in Europe is useless. That's a French deputy mayor. It's absolutely shocking that it's been allowed to get to this stage. It's totally, totally unacceptable. And for politicians to have presided over this sort of development again, you know, the likes of which we never wanted to see in Europe again, to see that Jews have been warned not to wear the kippah in public and things like this, it's tragic, and it's a shocking indictment. Shocking indictment of why you will see over the next few years, I reckon 10, 20 years, you're going to see new parties come up and come into government, because this is the legacy. This is what happens if you don't properly control your migration policy, if you don't have a proper plan for social integration, if you don't have a proper plan for stopping extremists for entering your country because you're shockingly naive. This is what happens, and it's totally appalling that this is what Jewish people, what Jewish leaders in France and Germany are now saying.
Well, a lot of people are agreeing with that, saying that Europe appears to now be becoming filled with anti-Semitism and anti-Semitics. There was another point and again, I think this is something that really should be getting much more media attention. Actually, maybe something we'll have a look at looking into even more ourselves as well. Here is this idea that actually there are thousands of people, Jews, from France and from Germany, that are now emigrating to Israel, because they obviously can do that if you're Jewish. Now, when you think about this, that's a concern, isn't it? It should be a concern. If you'd feel so unsafe in parts of France and Germany, basically mainland European countries, that you would feel safer going to Israel, an enclave of a non-Islamic country in the Middle East that is, constantly on a bit of a precipice, isn't it? It's a very volatile region. It's a very volatile part of a very volatile region. You would move your family there in droves because you feel that is a safer and better surrounding for you than parts of mainland Europe. That's a concern. That's a massive, massive concern with where we're up to with anti-Semitism in Europe, I think. That's my 2 pennies worth on that anyway.
Very serious, guys. And as ever, Westmonster.com will have all of the latest developments. So do go and visit our website. Do sign up to the red alert email on the website. And if you want to support us, it's westmonster.com/support. Don't forget, these broadcasts are 1 o'clock UK time, 1 p.m, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Give us a retweet, give us a like. Go and visit westmonster.com. Now, very interesting comment on YouTube from Jeff Moss saying it's the Anton Deck of political discussion. I mean, I'll take that, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
But we really do appreciate all of your comments. We appreciate all of you who've gone to our support page and supported us. We couldn't do it without you. We're just going to go, we like to leave you with a smile on your face.
Yeah, we've got one more, guys, don't worry.
Yeah. So we've got the last story today, guys. I mean, you may not have heard of this, but there's a phenomenon going on in the Netherlands, the likes of which, in terms of the timescale, we've never really seen before. Basically, because the Dutch political system, they have a form of proportional representation. There was a party, it was originally a think tank, then it became a political party called the Forum for Democracy. And it stood in the election, I think it was in March last year. So we're only talking basically about a year ago. They got 1.8%, right? But because they've got a PR system, they got 2 seats. So they got 2 seats in the House of Representatives in the Netherlands. And since then, guys, what's happened is they've been making the pro-Nexit case. They fully want to leave the European Union. And they've just absolutely surged from, bear in mind, 1.8% a year ago. They're now the 3rd most popular party, on track for, I think it's 16 seats from 2. And it shows you, when you get a party that is sensible, that is anti-EU, that is pro-border controls, it can capture the imagination of the public. And it shows you that when you hear Ramonas talk about Brexit being isolation as well, it's total and utter garbage. This is a movement, make no mistake about it, that is pan-European. You are seeing parties right across Europe now opposing the European Union. And I mean, again, this party isn't just Eurosceptic. They're saying they want to leave the European Union. And for a party that got 1.8% of the vote a year ago to now be 3rd in the polls shows you how quickly, how rapidly political change is sweeping this continent.
It's an interesting case for PR, isn't it? If people feel like they can get a foothold in the door and then build from there, I think that probably not only holds the people, the more established parties to account, because they have to react to that, don't they? but actually it makes me maybe be better for getting more people engaged in politics. Because if you know, actually there's a realistic chance if you get a little percentage of the vote, you do get that foot in the door, and then it's up to you then to go and try and kick on. But it's quite good. But look, guys, just a few comments to round up. We've had Alison Stubbs saying we need PR over here. Sally Emilio, smiley face, saying you guys always make me smile. Sean Creamer saying thanks guys, have a good evening. And JD Curtis, who I believe is an American viewer of ours, saying keep speaking truth to power. So thank you very much. We will, JD, don't worry.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. I hope you have a lovely week.
Yes.
Go and visit westmonster.com for all the latest. We'll be back on Wednesday, 1 o'clock. Hope to see you then. As ever, go to westmonster.com and we'll catch you on Wednesday.
Take care, guys.